Test 1, 2. That's anchored in the Portsmouth Herald and in syndication. It is my pleasure to be with you on this fine morning. Only in New Hampshire can you get almost 400 people to come out and listen to the next United States. Away from Christmas shopping, and you guys are all here. You make a difference in our lives. We're going to let some other people come up here. Remember one thing, and the reason why we all have to keep this in mind as we go over the next 45 days to 60 days. We don't need to make America great again. We need a leader to not only in the world, but in the country. Lack of leadership is what we're missing, not the lack of a great nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Senator. If I could ask you to remain standing if you're able. You guys are in for an incredible treat. This next young lady who's going to lead us in the national anthem has just one of the greatest voices I have ever heard. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give her a nice warm welcome, Sienna Zeliff, to lead us in the national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you all for coming.
Outstanding. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is we're going to have some people come up on the stage. If you're able to sit, go ahead and sit. I'll make some quick introductions to the people. They'll speak very briefly before the governor comes up. Just to check, because I know we have some people not from New Hampshire. What is our state motto? On the count of three, yell it out. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it is. Live free or die. Who here is not from New Hampshire? Raise your hands. That motto, live that motto. But let me tell you about the second motto of New Hampshire. You ready for that? We only hear the second motto every once in a while, right before the primary. Our second motto is, you're in my top 3. We tell candidates that all the time. Folks, if you're thinking Governor Christie is in your top 3, let's move that dial. Time is short. We need you out there fighting. We want your vote, but we want you in the trenches now. We want you telling your neighbors and tell your friends. And that's what these fine people are going to talk about. This next individual, somebody I've known for quite some time, and what you're going to see on this stage is something constant. So I'm only going to say it once. Some of the finest people in New Hampshire are standing behind me. And they're fine because of 2 things. They care for this state deeply, and they have an immense amount of integrity. And that's something to be proud of, that they've attached themselves to Governor Christie's campaign. This next gentleman is one of the most honest people I've ever met in life. But he's also one of the most honest people I've ever met in politics, and that's saying a lot, because integrity is missing. He's a man of great character, somebody I enjoy talking to all the time. He's also the former chair of the New Hampshire GOP. Ladies and gentlemen, a nice big round of applause for Chairman Wayne McDonald. How you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you very much for that great introduction, and thank you all for being here this morning. I probably have been operating out of an outdated manual, because I know Governor Christie has talked about how we always talk about somebody being in our top 3, and Jeff just mentioned it. When I first met Governor Christie a few months ago, I said he was in my top 4. So I've got to get an updated manual for the next presidential election. It'll probably be up to the top 2 by the time the next presidential election comes around. This has been a true New Hampshire campaign right from the beginning. Our candidate has campaigned and gone to every single county in this state. He's campaigned in dozens of communities, large and small alike. He's met with people individually. He's talked to people on the phone. He's gone to small house parties. He's been in big venues like this, and the town hall meetings we've had have been growing and growing and growing. If you've been following this race, you know that early on he was way down in the pack, and people were speculating, well, maybe Christie will be the next one to drop out. Now, the latest polls have us second in the state of New Hampshire in this primary. And if you saw the debate performance the other night that the governor delivered, he's only getting stronger. He's only doing better and better and better. And that is why he is going to win this primary on February 9th. And as Jeff said, it's going to take the hard work of all of us to make that happen. But in Governor Christie, not only do we have a tremendous leader, an outstanding candidate for President of the United States who is going to turn around the Barack Obama disaster of these last 7 and soon to be 8 years, but also he respects the New Hampshire primary. He respects the role that New Hampshire has in the nominating process. He's going to be a president in the finest traditions of New Hampshire and of this country. And so thank you very much for being here, and please join with us and work hard these next 52 days, I think it is. I think that's the number. But please continue to work hard so that we can make a great victory happen on February 9th. Thank you.
So the next individual, and these are real quick, and it's important that we hear from these people because it reminds us of what's important, that our friends and neighbors support candidates, and we need to hear that more often. This next individual is somebody who served New Hampshire but also served our country as a former U.S. attorney. And of course, that job is something very important when we look on the war on terrorism, when we look at what we're able to achieve as far as our security and our well-being for our family. So to have someone of that caliber come out and strongly support the governor, but also work with him closely to help introduce the governor to you is very important. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice big round of applause, former U.S. Attorney Tom Colantuono.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you all for being here to come out to support my friend, Governor Chris Christie. And I'm here with my wife, Laureen, and I just made a new friend. I'm so excited to have met the father of the governor over here and his stepmom. And as I say my friend because, as Jeff mentioned, we served together as U.S. attorneys during the Bush administration. President George W. Bush named me the U.S. attorney for here, the District of New Hampshire, just around the same time that Governor Christie was named. And I was so blessed to be able to serve with Governor Christie and all the other U.S. attorneys during the Bush administration, because after 9/11, we were handed a tough job by the Attorney General, John Ashcroft, and the President, George W. Bush, to help work with the military and with law enforcement to keep this country safe. And I want to tell you and remind you that after 9/11, we did that job. There were no terrorist attacks on the soil of this country, and we're very proud of that. And thank you to our law enforcement and our intelligence agencies and our military. But in these last 7 years, that hasn't been the case. This country's let its guard down under the poor leadership of the current administration. So we need someone back in the White House like Governor Chris Christie. He's tough, he's smart, he's aggressive, but he's also a good family man. He's got family values. He believes in all the things we believe in. And when he called me up to ask me if I would support him for president, I said, absolutely. Where do I sign up? When can I be there? And I've been there ever since. And he will be a consummate law enforcement president. He will be an anti-terrorist president. He'll be a great national leader on the world stage. And we need to get out and work for him because I believe he can win. I believe he can be the next great president of the United States. So thank you all for coming out. We're going to have a 4-day bus tour. We're going to be with him all day. So get out there, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, get registered to vote if you're not registered. Be there for us on February 9th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. All right, so before I introduce this next guest, what I want to do very quickly, for all of those of you who have served in the U.S. military, please raise your hands. Thank you. This next person is one of your brothers, and not only one of your brothers, but he is someone who has served this country with distinction as a sergeant major in the U.S. Marine Corps. Is there any such thing as a former Marine? Is there? No. All you're waiting for is the next battle, and he has joined this next battle to be with us. Once again, when you have a person of Paul's caliber attached to this campaign, you know that there is integrity. This man fought hard for our country, and he continues to fight hard for our brother and sister veterans in need of what they earned. So it's my proud honor to introduce you to Sergeant Major Paul Chevalier.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeff, for those kind words. It's an honor for me to be here today to show my support for Governor Chris Christie. As you may have noticed by all the hands that were held up a few minutes ago, there's a lot of veterans in this crowd right now. They're not all wearing hats like myself and some of the others. One thing I want to straighten out before I get any further is that the members of the VFW that are wearing these hats are here because we're trying to influence our other veterans to go out and vote. The first thing, get out and vote for whoever your candidate is. The VFW as an organization does not endorse candidates. So I don't want you to confuse that with us or a vision of us here with these hats on. We're just trying to show that we are veterans. But, you know, a couple of months ago, or several months ago anyway, the big issue going around the country for us was the terrible condition of the VA, the Veterans Administration, and the horrible service they were giving to veterans that were dying while on waiting lists. And Governor Christie had those problems and recognized them right in New Jersey. And the federal government stopped funding an emergency hotline, an 800 number for those that thought they were in dire trouble. And Governor Christie had New Jersey pick up that hotline for the whole country, and they're doing it right now. I think that the number one issue since that time, for veterans anyway, has come away from being the VA. It's still way up at the top. But I think the number one issue right now is home security and national security here. We all have sisters and wives and mothers and daughters and little guys running around that we're concerned about. You see what's happening all over the world. Governor Christie, as the U.S. Attorney on 9/11/2001, got involved very heavily in the total idea of finding out what was going on, the investigations to get into Al-Qaeda, now who is ISIL. He worked with the FBI, with all of the local police departments, so he knows how to find these people and how to work on them. He was the commander-in-chief of the New Jersey National Guard, and the one thing that really impresses me about him is he's promised and has shown in the past he will only go to the people that know what's going on. Our top military generals who've been forced into retirement by the current regime, Governor Christie will seek their advice and certainly seek to protect this country using them as his springboard. So without saying a whole lot more, I'll tell you I'm behind Governor Christie. I hope you'll all end up behind him now. Get your neighbors out to vote, and let's let Governor Christie get America back where it should be for us. Thank you.
Good job. So there's a lot of special people on this page, and there's a lot of special people out here, and I would be remiss, and this is not part of the program, but there's somebody very I'm fond of in this audience. How many of you know what a Gold Star parent is? Amongst this is really someone of incredible character, someone I got to know a little while ago, and someone we all should be proud of as New Hampshireites and Granite Staters. And I think it would be really nice if right now we gave her a really good round of applause. The mother of Navy SEAL Dan Healy, Gold Star mother Natalie Healy. You people are wonderful. Natalie, I love you. Merry Christmas. Now we get to see a fireball. You want to know what activist is? An activist is a person who can go into a room and convince everybody you need to follow this person. And that's what this next person is. There is nobody in the world I have ever met who has met Renee who doesn't say, wherever she's going, I'm going with her. And that's important because she doesn't give it for a price. She doesn't give it because she wants to be important. She does it for us, her neighbors. And she's a fun person, she's a smart person, and like I said, she's the kind of activist you want on your campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, please a nice round of applause for Renee Plummer.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning, everybody. I think probably a lot of you know what we do, Danny and I do, when we have all of the presidential candidates come up to Portsmouth and we let them have lunch and ask questions. My question always, because I put the lunch on, so I get the first question to all of them is, how are you going to protect me, my family, my friends, my community from ISIS. I want to know what you are going to do, because energy, the economy, education, yes, it is important. Climate change, it is important. But it's not as important as if they're going to come to attack us. We need to go ahead and find a leader that is going to take care of us, take care of our military, because you know it's going to be the military that's going to be called. It's our veterans are the ones that are going to protect us. So I saw it in Christie's face. I saw it when he spoke in our luncheons. I saw it when he spoke on stage. I mean, when he looked into the cameras, he forgot about everybody else. He was talking to America and saying, I am there for you. I don't want to hear people give me a hard time because Christie once hugged the President of the United States. He did it for the people of New Jersey. He's going to do the same thing for us. He's going to do the same thing for us. He has the credentials, he's got the mindset, he's got everything. Now I spoke to my brother-in-law, who happens to be here this morning, and he's probably independent in his voting. But he said to me, the one thing that Governor Christie has, he's got the executive order, he's got executive power. He understands being an executive. This is what we need. We need to have somebody that understands. On January of 2017, you walk into the White House, you're sitting in the Oval Office. I don't want to give anybody a honeymoon. You need to be able to pick up that phone immediately and protect our country. So, go Christie. Thank you all for coming. Thanks, Chip. Jeff.
Thanks, Renee. So the next few people, I'm going to use another term, statesperson, statesman, stateswoman. The problem with politics is that we have too many people running into rooms, beating the heck out of people over the heads for their policies, when they're not sitting there and understanding that it takes a lot more than that to get things passed, to get things working, to govern. And these next few people are all going to fit that same mode. When we send people down to Washington, D.C. from New Hampshire, we don't send people down there just to raise their hand, do we? What do we expect people to do when we send them from New Hampshire down to Washington, D.C.? To achieve something. And so this next person was someone who was able to do that for us on our behalf and still continues to support that endeavor by reminding people what a statesman looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former Congressman Bill Zeliff.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Christie supporters. This is the best of New Hampshire. This is what I live for. I love this kind of thing, and we're going to do it all day. But the one big thing that I would ask of you is spread the word. You are going to be, we're number 2 today, and we're number 1 on February 9th, right? And here's what we have to do. When I'm on a plane going home tomorrow morning, I'm going to talk to the people next to me. Have you decided? And if they haven't, I'm going to tell them about Christie and his website. And I tell that at my Christmas party last Sunday night. Told them there. People are searching for a winner. They don't know yet. And the nice thing about this is February 9th, he's going to be barreling out of New Hampshire, number 1, South Carolina, Florida, all the rest of them, and he'll be the guy. I went on our vacation. We were up in North Conway. Actually, it was in Jackson. Somebody said, Christie's going to be in North Conway tomorrow. You have any interest in going? I said, hell yeah. So I got my buddy Jim Projan, who's been a really solid, wonderful guy. And I said, let's go see the town meeting tomorrow. We were there 2.5 hours. Everything this guy said, I agreed with. It's amazing. It's on his website. Full disclosure, no secrets. He's got guts. He can deliver. He's a problem solver. I asked a few questions on regulatory reform. He had a perfect answer. Again, it's on the website. The biggest thing that I'm working on now is the debt, our country's debt, and volunteering to give speeches and how important it is. Well, guess what? Christie, we don't have to talk to him. He leads off with entitlement reform. He leads off with how important we've got to get the debt, and we're all going to have to sacrifice because we're screwing our kids right now. We're not leaving a legacy, and none of us want to do that. We need to change this, and Christie is our answer. Check his website. One little tiny thing is I married a girl from New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey in East Orange, up in Connecticut, went to school at UConn, but I got to tell you, I asked my wife, I said, what do you like about Christie? You like, but one more thing, Bill. And I said, well, what's that? But she's got a sticker on her car. And I'll tell you what, some good stuff. Thank you all very much.
So one thing we do here in New Hampshire, we do a lot of guys from New Jersey. Where are you? You're over here. Hey, give these guys a round of applause. The New Jersey Volunteers, guys, because we know everything today. But one thing New Hampshire does, something we do really well, is we produce some of the strongest, hardest working women any state could ever produce. And what I mean by that is that we don't get into the conversation of it's a man who's running for office, or it's a woman running for office. We don't care about that, do we? We care about the character of the heart, the intellect, and we care about that person who can do what we ask them to do. This next person has done it all for us and has been there and been a voice of reason, sometimes in a New Hampshire house that has best been described as herding cats. And she did it with grace, and she did it with honor, and we're proud to have her on the team. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice warm welcome to Donna Sytek.
Thank you. As you can see, my days of going door to door are long past. Thanks for bringing in the next generation to do the door to door. Welcome, New Jersey. You can see that it's difficult for me to be here, but it was so important to be here for the kickoff of the bus tour, not the kickoff of the campaign, because as we all know, Governor Christie has been practically living in New Hampshire. I first met him in May at a small gathering because I was trying to narrow the field. Like any good New Hampshire voter, you got to check him out. So I went and I liked what I heard. My original impression was I couldn't support somebody from New Jersey. You know, they have that reputation. But when I met him, I said, I've got to pay attention to this guy. And further, what the two big issues for me in choosing a candidate was I wanted somebody with executive experience and somebody who cared about the national debt. You saw the great celebration that we didn't have a government shutdown yesterday. The bad news is they added $1 trillion to the national debt. So whoever is going to be president has to understand that and has to have a plan. Christie was the first candidate to come out with a detailed plan. And I salute him for that. So. So that was why I signed up. He has executive experience. He cares about my #1 issue. And then events changed with Paris and San Bernardino. And we have a candidate who is not only great on the issues that I care about, including the opioid crisis and the VA, he is great on national security at a time when we need a strong leader. He is our guy. He's the total package. And that's why I'm here. That's why all of you are here. In this season of expectation and longing for Christmas, we are in a state where we expect that we're going to do the right thing in February. We are longing for somebody who can beat Hillary Clinton. That person is Chris Christie, and I'm happy to join you.
All right, so the bus is almost here with the governor. And so this next person, interesting thing is, how many of you have ever worked for a campaign or supported a candidate and your best friend is working and supporting someone else? How many times has that happened to you? All right. Now, in other states, they call that the best of enemies. You know, okay, we'll tolerate it for the first 6 months, and then when the election's over, we'll all come back and kiss and hug. It doesn't work out that way. It's a crucial 6 months. This next person, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about him, but this next person, I don't think we've been on a campaign together, have we, Senator? We've been on some good campaigns, but this is the first time we've been on a presidential campaign together. Now that tells you an awful lot about Governor Christie. That's not to say that either one of us was wrong, because neither one of us were wrong. It just means that that's what the makeup of is New Hampshire. This next person also went down to Washington, D.C. and served as a congressman, was a great veterans advocate, one of the best we ever sent down there. And he could have come back, and he could have done anything he wanted. He could have gone further into business. He could have done things with his family. He could have done all that. And I want you to remember this. We sent him down to Washington, D.C., fought hard for us, fought hard for veterans. And then there was something missing in our New Hampshire Senate. It was a little chaotic, a little chaos, and it was missing a statesman. And this person took time out of his life, took time out of his schedule, time away from his family, and he didn't have to, and went back to the New Hampshire Senate to serve us once again. He's also the only person I know that's climbed every mountain in New Hampshire 100 times each. Ladies and gentlemen, please, big round of applause for Senate Majority Leader Jeb Bradley.
Good morning. Fired up? Let's make sure we're fired up. Come on, fire it up. Fire it up. Okay. Why are you all here today? We're here to elect a president. Why is Chris Christie the person for the job when there are plenty of other good Republicans? Why is he the best? I couldn't hear you. Say it again. All right. He got me on board because he has political courage. It's not always easy to do the right thing. Governor Christie looked at a problem in New Jersey, a runaway pension situation with a huge unfunded liability. So we had to take on the most special interests of the special interests in the bluest of the blue states. And he did it successfully. I had to do the same thing here. What did I do? The first thing I did, I got a hold of those Governor Chris Christie YouTubes to see how he talked about a tough issue, how he brought people together, how he got the job done. And so if your issue is entitlement reform, rest assured, he's got the political courage to get the job done. And with $18 trillion of accumulated debt in this country, it's a big job for a big person. Governor Christie's the person to do that job. If your issue is tough on spending and the willingness to veto budgets and to make sure the taxpayers in this country are protected, Governor Christie has the political courage to get the job done in Washington. He's proven it time and time again in New Jersey. And if your issue, and it better be everybody's issue in this room, it better be all the issue for 320 million Americans, how do we protect the security of this country from the threat of Islamic jihadism? Governor Christie is your guy. He is the complete package. He's done it. He's proven. He's tested. For those of you from New Jersey, you knew he was tested during Hurricane Sandy, don't you? He was tested, and he rose to the challenge. He will rise to the challenge of defeating Islamic jihadism. And the last thing I want to say is, you know, America's not a one-party country. It just isn't. We're Republicans here, but guess what? There are a lot of good Americans who are not Republicans. An awful lot of good Americans who are Democrats, who are independents, who are unaligned, and Republicans. I want to send a guy to Washington who it's not about himself, who's about solving problems, who's about working to solve problems with other people. And guess what? He has proven that, hasn't he, in New Jersey. So the last thing I want to say before we get to the main attraction, there's been a lot of discussion, hasn't there, about political correctness in this Republican primary. So I'm going to say something that is really politically correct this morning. What does PC stand for? President Christie! All right, let's give a New Hampshire welcome to the next President of the United States, Governor Christie!
So we got you fired up. You guys excited? Because I got a little secret to share with you. We're all done talking. That's exactly the reaction from my wife. Ladies and gentlemen, the bus and Governor Christie has arrived.
Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Paul LePage and Governor Christie.
Good, wonderful.
Good morning, all. All the way down from Maine. And I see some Mainers here. Welcome. It's such an honor. To
be campaigning along Chris Christie. And I will. And I ran for governor this last time. Chris Christie. If I win. And so I hope I can just do the next president. Chris.
2014, as Paul said, folks in the media, the political talking heads, big money people in Washington, D.C. When I was chairman of the Republican Governors Association, they someplace else, hog, all the money that you need, all the elected governor of Maine, and darn if he didn't get reelected for Maine. His welfare to work program in Maine is changing lives every day. Longer, or the United States will stand by them. The word of the President of the United States is no longer good. He has so often disappointed us and disappointed that we can't wait for the next 13 months to go by so we can send him back to Chicago where he came from. And there's lots of things that have been said about me over my career. Lots of comments about me, lots of things people say, but I'll tell you one thing people have never said about me or about Paul LePage. They've never said I'm misunderstood. They never said they can't understand what I'm saying. They never said it is good around the world, not only to other capitals around the globe, but whose word is good to every one of the 330 million American people who elect him to be. To New Hampshire and start campaigning Bridget Christie. Family has one child who is the straw that's do not ever talk about me in political speeches. That's how much he wants his dad to be president of the United States. That he's actually showed up here today. He is playing politics with his dad, which is the first time, and I can remember that in a long time. He is our 9th grade son, the goalie on the middle school hockey team for the Del Barton School, our son, Patrick Christie. Huh? High school. Sorry. I screwed it up. He's the goalie on the junior varsity hockey team, not the middle school team. He has moved up from the middle school team. I'm sorry. I was so excited about the first part of the introduction that I messed up the end. So we have the whole family here. We have the whole family here because you all become family to us. After all these days in New Hampshire, after all the time that I've met so many of you, so many familiar faces here, from so many town hall meetings and so many meet and greets, so many house parties, you've all become family to us. We know you, so many of you, by your first names. We know you the minute we see you. People told me this was going to happen if you decided to run for president and you came to New Hampshire and spent time here. People told me that you would begin to develop a closeness with the people of this state that you wouldn't be able to even understand when you first arrived here. And it's happened. And our family feels it. And that's why the whole family is here and is going to continue to be here. And here's what I need in return. A couple of things. First thing, now I know since you're here, you all don't fit into this category. But I know this manual as New Hampshire primary voters. You hand it out to all of you. The minute you get to high school, you start handing this thing out. And it says when a candidate comes up to you, well, New Hampshire, and you're in my top. I mean, every time I go up to someone in New Hampshire, they say, nice to meet you, Governor. You're in my top 3. All right, now. Weeks from the New Hampshire primary to end this top business. Okay? It is time for the top 3 business. One of one. Because when you go into the voting booth, as you know, it's not a multiple choice thing, right? You got to pick one. And now is game time. See, we have a country that is racked with anxiety and fear. We have a country that leadership again. They want a president who they believe in, who they can count on, who will be there for them, for him. And it's up to you, up to the people of New Hampshire. I mean, the fact is there's 14 people still in this race. 14. I had someone at a town hall meeting stand up, I think it was in Loudon, and he said to me, Governor, I don't know, I just feel powerless. I feel powerless anymore in the country. I looked at him and I said, sit down. You feel powerless. You're from New Hampshire. If you're powerless, then the whole country is powerless. You are the most powerful people in America right now. You are the most powerful people in America. You are going to take this race from 14 people to 4 or 5 at the most. February 10th, after you vote and everyone wakes up the next morning, 10 of us are going home. 10 of us won't be able to go on because of the verdict in New Hampshire. And so I don't want anybody in New Hampshire ever to either think or say that you're powerless. You are among the most powerful people in America because you are going to be the ones that decide who the other 48 states get to choose from as the Republican candidate for President of the United States. So when I say it's game time, everybody, it's game time. I've had a fun summer and fall. It's been incredibly entertaining. Being in this race is really entertaining. We got a whole bunch of interesting folks in this field, don't we? We got some senators, we got some governors, some former governors, we got some business people, we got a real character. We got a lot of stuff for you, and boy, have we been entertaining, right? It's been fun to watch. It's wonderful. Interaction, back and forth, all kinds of ideas, lots of smart folks, lots of people with lots of opinions. But showtime is over, everybody. Showtime is over. It's time to pick a president. We're not picking a legislator-in-chief. We're not picking an entertainer-in-chief. We're not casting a TV show. This is real. And our country knows that we cannot afford to make the same mistake that we made 7 years ago. We cannot afford to send someone behind that desk who's never made a consequential decision in an executive position in their life. We cannot afford to put someone behind that desk, whether we agree with their philosophy or disagree with it, who's going to sit in that chair the first day, spin around and say, gee whiz, isn't it great to be president? That's not what we need. See, new is exciting. New is shiny. It's, tingly. Gives you that little goosebumpy feeling when you see something new, right? It's really wonderful. New is great. New is wonderful. It's kind of like when you're driving down the road, you pass a Ford dealer. You see that new Ford truck sitting right outside the showroom. It's bright and shiny. It's got all kinds of new bells and whistles in it. You look at that truck and you go, man, I want that truck. I'd love that. That truck probably smells great. It's got that new car smell in it that everybody loves. It's like the smell of American success. Right? You get in that new car of yours, you love that new truck. So you go and you buy it. You buy the new truck. You bring it home. You park it out in front of the house and it starts to rain. And it's pouring rain. It's lightning and it's thunder and the wind is blowing. It's pouring. And the shine starts to come off that truck a little bit. All the rain and the wind and all the rest of it. And then after all that rain, what's it create? Mud. There's mud all around you. And you go out, you're going to take that truck out now for the first time. It's this new truck. And you can't get out of the mud. The wheels are spinning. The truck's getting dirtier. It's getting frustrated. You're jamming on the gas. You're pulling off it. You're trying everything. You're like, what's with this new truck? And the only thing you're thinking about at that moment is, where's my old truck? Because damn, that truck always got me out of the mud. Every time I was in the mud, that truck got me out of the mud. Yeah, it was dinged up a little bit. It was a little dirty. It was a little scratched. But man, every time there was a storm, that truck got me out of the mud. I'm the old truck in this race. I'm the old truck in this race, everybody. There are a bunch of new shiny trucks in this race. Yes, they are. There's a bunch of new shiny trucks in this race. They look nice. They sound nice. But they ain't ever been in the mud. They haven't been tested. They haven't been tested by the most liberal, largest media market in America as a conservative Republican every day for the last 13 years. They haven't been tested by being the federal prosecutor in the state that lost more people than any state other than the state of New York right after 9/11. They haven't been tested by the second worst natural disaster that this country has ever seen, having to try to rebuild a state that lost 365,000 homes in 24 hours. They haven't been tested by attacks from the media just because you're a successful conservative Republican in a blue state. The old truck is the one that's tested by that. And the old truck that they thought they stuck in the mud got out of the mud again, and here I am. Here I am. When we get on that stage against Hillary Clinton next September, you want that old truck on the stage. You want the truck that can go forward and go in reverse no matter how much mud she throws, because she's going to be throwing the mud, you know it. That's the Clinton playbook. She'll throw every piece of mud she can, and the new truck might not know how to deal with that mud. The new truck might get stuck. The new truck might try to clean itself rather than just get out of the mud. The old truck knows. You get out of the mud, and you run over what's in front of you. And we got to make a pact today, everybody. We got to make a pact together. And I want to make this promise to you. If you make me the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America, Hillary Rodham Clinton will not get within 10 miles of the White House. Never again. Because there's no silver medal in this contest. No silver medal. It's win or go home. And if we lose this one, we're not going to recognize our country 4 years from now. We're not going to recognize it. So we cannot settle for anything other than putting a proven, tested, mature, ready winner on that stage against Hillary Clinton. I want to be that tested, ready, mature winner to stand up there for you and for your families and for what they need in this country. So this is a great send-off. It's a great send-off to our 4 days on that bus in New Hampshire. 4 days. Me, my family, Paul LePage. Tomorrow we have another foreign invader coming to New Hampshire, just recently diagnosed as completely in remission from cancer. The Republican governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, is coming to New Hampshire. See, because here's the science professor in college who became a mentor to me. He's since passed away. His name is Jim Soules at the University of Delaware. He's a wonderful Southern gentleman. Grew up in Virginia, got his education at the University of Virginia, and he was a mentor to so many students who came through that department at the University of Delaware. And he was such a great friend that when I ran for governor for the first time in 2009, near the end of his life, he drove up to New Jersey and did phone banking for me with that really great Southern accent. Let me tell you, people in New Jersey were like, I don't know who that is, but let's listen to some more of it because it sounded really good. He gave me some great lessons when I was at that school, and he told me, Chris, if you ever run for political office, remember something. The most important trait in leadership is listening. Now, I was 19 years old when he told me this. I had no idea what he was talking about. Because at 19 years old, no offense, Sarah, your listening ears aren't always on. Not always. He said, you got to listen. If you want to be a leader, you have to listen. He said, because, you know, if you don't listen, you won't have followers. And he said, and a leader without followers is just a guy out for a walk. He said, that's not who you want to be if you want to run for office and try to change the world. I've listened. I've listened to the people of my state. And as chairman of the Republican Governors Association, I listened to people all across this country over the last few years. I don't need to watch cable news to find out that they're filled with anxiety. I don't need to watch cable news to find out they're filled with fear. I don't need to watch cable news to find out that they're filled with frustration, that the middle class hasn't seen their wages in this country go up in 15 years. I don't need to watch cable news to find out that the American people, more than anything else, want a president who is strong and decisive and honest. And so I put my listening ears on, and I've listened the last few years. And I run for president because I hear you. I hear you. I feel your frustration. I share your frustration. I share your anger, and I share your fear. But let me tell you what I also know. That there is no greater or stronger force for good in this world than a united American people. And what I intend to do as your president is to listen to you, to give voice not only to your frustrations and your anger and your fears, but to give voice to your aspirations and your dreams for our children and our grandchildren. And together, if you give me your trust and your faith and your confidence, we will restore this country to the greatness that is within each and every one of us. And then we will be able to pass that torch on to our kids and say, we've done our job. Now it's your turn. That's the type of America I want to lead again. That's the type of America I know is out there from listening to all of you. And if we work hard together for the next 6 weeks, that journey back to American faith and trust and confidence will start right here in the state of New Hampshire. Thank you all very much. Really good.